Good morning on a Saturday, U.S. time. Let's go over some. I mentioned in the last video I did, I had two more withdrawals inbound. One got processed. TPT's been a tad slow on processing the withdrawals lately. No big deal. It's still, still pretty quick. So I'll show you those real quick. Then I'm going to get into still getting a lot of questions on what are MOM signals, MOM, short for momentum. And I want to cover setups from Friday's action. My house is still flooded. Well, it's not flooded. The blowers are still going, drying out everything or the areas that got flooded after a water line broke. And looks like I'm not even going to be back into my place till Monday. But anyhow, so I'm going to utilize being displaced from my home this weekend to work on tons of tools, wrapping up programming stuff with programmers and content, training, and videos for the public here at the Great Algo YouTube channel. So we're going to be talking about the ALGO IQ systems. Basically, they're prop firm systems. They're the same systems I use to a point for my institutional FX trading. I'm actually going to start touching upon the institutional FX side a bit more in the month of August. I get a lot of questions on it. I'm going to kind of touch upon it a little bit. I don't want to show exactly how we're getting 7.52% monthly average, but I'll show a little bit and some of the mindset into trading 16 instrument FX portfolios as a bit of expansion of what are the possibilities in trading. So let's go take a look at those next TPT withdrawals that I said that I had inbound. So I left off with the 680 in the last video. The 800 request was already paid out. This one I put in really super early, wee hours of the morning Friday. I think it was even like right after the non-farm payroll news, but before the markets open. Not surprised they're a little backed up on a Friday. So I have another 720 coming in from that first account. Second account's progressing along good. Friday, I actually didn't trade a whole lot. I think I only made about 480 bucks, and then I just had stuff I had to go do, so I shut down for the day. But I will show you some setups that I targeted in the morning, made a few hits, and then just, was like, okay, I got to go keep pushing this work along so I can get back in my house as quick as possible. But anyhow, those were the two additional deposits I said I had inbound, and there they are from prior day's trading. The money I made on Friday, I'm not going to do withdrawal Monday. I'll wait. Whatever I make on the pro account on Monday, combined with what I made Friday, I'll do withdrawal request late Monday night, and that money should hit my account on Tuesday. So I know the last video was super long. It was by design. I had a lot of stuff to cover. This one, I'll make it quick. We had a very significant level sweep Friday in the selling. We had a lot of unscheduled news hit the market. Well, we had the non-farm payrolls news, the adjusted prior months non-farm payrolls news that was a negative or perceived as a negative, and then Russia comments by Medvedev. What's his name? I've got his name. Uh, one of the Russian leaders just below Putin made comments, and the guy makes like stupid comments all the time, and he's not even the president of Russia. But anyhow, he made comments, so Trump responded saying, "Hey, you guys, words mean something, and I'm taking two Ohio-class nuclear subs, and I'm going to pre-position them to let you know that we don't like that commentary." So anyhow, the market didn't like that. But I mean, look at this. What did the markets do the prior day? They juiced the hell out of this thing in the overnight session. You know why they do that? And I mentioned the prior video, so they can get the market open gapped up, and institutionals and hedge funds, knowing what institutionals are doing, it can cash out a bunch of stocks out of the open that are all gapped up high. So it's like they're handing the bag off to the retailers that keep buying and buying, thinking we're going to go up forever. It doesn't work that way. You can keep going up, but there's pullbacks along the way. So I wasn't surprised that we've had a significant pullback. And then the NFP news didn't help anything. There was some tariffs news, and then there was the nuclear submarine news as Trump responds to Russian comments. So not surprised we've had a pullback off of mind-boggling all-time highs in the NASDAQ. So I'm not going to focus on this chart today, just the chart of the MNQ. I only trade MNQs in both 300K and 150K prop accounts. I like the way I can fractionally break up position size with MNQs versus NQs. I could trade NQs on a 300K account just fine. I'm doing MNQs everywhere and I'm using trade copiers. It works out just fine. So let's cover this real quick. So MOM or mom signals are these squares, and what we're looking for, and let's type this in here. So the squares that you see are part of the AIQ1 indicator. That was our launch indicator for the ALGO IQ program, where I basically took a hybrid Heikin-Ashi that I've used on the FX side for years. I'm like, wait a minute, we got this new math we found out about. We like the way the math works on a single squiggly line, a typical moving average. Let's take that math and let's plug it in to a Heikin-Ashi, hybrid Heikin-Ashi we have that's different than a typical smooth Heikin-Ashi. It's a bit more responsive, and the way that it computes the high to low range and the candle bodies is the uniqueness to it. Let's plug in our math, and it turned out fantastic. So here was the beginning of the 7:30 news. Actually, that's 7:31. So on TPT, on a Pro account, Pro Plus, I can't trade till at least a minute after the news, and I wanted to trade the reaction out of NFP. So it was a bit muted. I saw what the news was. I saw there was downward revisions, but I did like this. This is one of my trades where I only did $500, but I liked this W pattern out of the news. 1 minute and time had already played out. So from 7:31 U.S. Central Time going forward, I'm eligible for a trade. And I got a mom signal, and this area was kind of holding out of the news, but it was the W pattern and the lift and the mom signal. I got long and caught that as we pressed above that recent, kind of chop range. We pushed above it, not surprised since the news wasn't really positive. I liked the W pattern. I thought, okay, well, let's see, are they going to rip it up to turn around to sell it? I thought they might go a little bit higher, but as soon as it rotated and I got the counter signal, I was out of there. So I made a little bit there. I did hit the short side. I didn't hit it with very much position size because I wasn't sure if we're just going to get a pullback and more continuation, because sometimes the markets ramp up on bad news because they're like, oh, good, now the Fed will have to lower interest rates. So you know what I'm saying? It's almost like that bad news of the jobs number might push up the likelihood that we'll get a rate cut in September. And I do think that's happening. So I was cognizant we might get a pullback, maybe a third of the way, half the way, or all the way back, and then really rip. If the markets are interpreting that NFP number as a positive to putting more pressure and the type of pressure needed to get the Fed to finally cut rates, which they should have cut already, in my opinion. So anyhow, I hit that light and it went all the way down to lows, and I was like, it chopped around, and I'm like, okay, I'm done, and I was done for the day. If I would have traded my normal position size, I would have been done. I wouldn't have been done on the first move. I would have been about 600 and change from where I got out. Then in this move, I would have went way over daily goal. I try to go for about 700-ish a day minimum on a 150K account, 1100 on a 300K account. So anyhow, and I was done. Later on in the day, I wished I would have been ready. I would have traded this setup for sure. I know I got emails and from some social media from guys that hit this signal and did really well, and I totally get it. We did come down and retest that overnight session low and along there. And this is the thing about mom signals. The mom signal is picking up the initial beginnings of what is momentum or price accelerating. So you can see right there. Now I'm on a fairly low time frame. So there's all the mom signals. So all extended moves start with this pattern. So we're not guaranteed every time we get a mom signal, we're going to get, an extended move. But if I sat there all day long, especially here's 8:30 US Central Time, right about in here. If I took, all the beginning signals out of the day, had a long, that lost some, then had a short, that definitely made money. A follow-up short, no need to get in that because I'm already short. Long, that wouldn't have worked. You wouldn't have lost a lot. Didn't work. But then you got a ripper, a huge short trade. I mean, there's no way you would have missed getting your daily goal. And then you had continuation signal. So no need to get jump in a continuation signal if you're already in the primary reversal signal where the momentum was picked up out of a reversal. So anyhow, that was, that's just the reality of the mom signals. If you can follow some of my training where I talk about price levels, and that's what we're going to talk about next. So basically from that short, we got continuation short, continuation, continuation, continuation. We got the exhaustion move. And what did they do? They took out a key level, a very key level. That was a huge level sweep. So no need for anybody to be looking at any buys, and I didn't have any buy signals at all in here. None. After the big extended move down. This is just like a race to the next key level at that point, where this level is almost like a magnet. And if we go all the way back, that level was from many, many days ago. From way back, many, many days ago. I guess that was the 13th of July into the 14th. So that was a key level that got swept. We traded right down and slightly ticked below that level at that point. Now, do you just right away when you get a level sweep, do you jump in the mom signal? Sure you can. Just do it with light position size because you don't know. You just had a very significant down move and now you're going to take a shot at a long. So that to me is like, a grade of A, B, C, or D. That's like a B grade to get in and jump in that. Now I'll show you where the A plus trades were. The A and the A plus. It was right after that, and I talk about this a lot. So now we know we've had a key level sweep after a significant down move. We definitely got some institutional activity where they blew this thing up off that level fast. But then what do we get after that? You get a higher pivot low long. So if you get long and you have your stop never more than most recent price pivot, it oscillated a bit and took off. But the really nice trade, if you're a little bit more patient, you had a W pattern and lift. Now you have tons of confirmation. You have low, higher pivot low, higher pivot low. I talk about this, a market stair stepping higher. You're getting sequential higher pivot lows and you're getting institutional pumping in some volume, pumping in some volume, pumping in some volume. And then it just ripped and everybody that basically was a seller in this whole area was just having to unwind because the institutional side came in strong. They gave another pullback and lift. So that was a very nice, but seeing that W pattern after the market just responded heavy buying off of a key level sweep. So we had level sweep, then we had stair stepping higher price, and then we had a W pattern. So my grade would be right here. That would be a B grade taking along there. So, it's acceptable. Just do it lower position side. Taking the first higher pivot low long signal, I like that a lot. It's an A, and you would have survived. You would have still been in the trade with your stop, never more than most recent price pivot from where you get in. But then getting a secondary setup with a W pattern, that to me is an A plus setup. Just kind of looking at setups and what's leading up to that setup from a context standpoint. If I would have been watching the market, I would have put on like I would have put on probably a 7 lot in the 150K accounts and probably a 15 in the 300Ks on that one. And that, nice rip, a little bit of a pullback, very light one, and then secondary move after that to the upside. So that was a really nice setup. Then, if you want to fade the bounce, the market gave you another wondrous setup. You have no idea how hard, and sometimes institutions can come in and start the buying, and 250 points later, it's still linear as hell. You just don't know. So you can wait for a mom signal to take your shots, countering a big responsive move after a key level was swept. Get in light, see what happens. Then if you get a secondary lower pivot high, you can add some liquidity. You can add to your trade and see if you get more to the downside. But just in general, the way I would have traded this if I would have been watching it, I wouldn't have been in this at all. I would have liked to have seen this come up a little bit higher before I would start fading the area. But then seeing the M pattern and the mom signal, that I like. I'm looking at buyers losing control, and that one had some nice, had a decent move out of there. And if I remember it continued, it continued down. Didn't really give us any pattern to be a buyer, but it looks like institutions like, no, 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 we want this up, and they pumped it back up. I do like these little intraday level sweeps. Market had a huge sell-off. Now the market's trying to crawl higher, puts an M pattern, rolls over. They come back in, they blow it out. And then right after they, push, one push, two push, three push, then you get a mom signal after that level sweep. That's something I typically like to fade. So I won't go in with like a 7 lot and 150K account. Something like that, I'll just hit it with a 3 and see what happens. And that one really tanked after that. So what I do is I use mom signals, but I look for tactical or strategic areas to be a buyer or seller. This was a strategic buy area, a key level sweep, a M pattern short, that's a tactical area, a W pattern buy, that's a tactical area to be a buyer. And it's just like, playing price patterns. And we came down, got another level sweep, and then you got a buy signal. That to me still would be about a B. I'm not just going to jump in here because I'm getting a little lift after we've come all the way back down. But it is a mom signal after the support that was built earlier gets taken out. And this is pretty late in the day. On a Friday, I don't want to be trading real late in the day. There's too much weird price action that takes place later days and Fridays. But yeah, institutions are like, nope, get out of here. Stop that selling. We're going to defend that level. So we'll see what happens Sunday night into Monday. But markets definitely have given back some price action here off the all-time highs from just the other overnight session into the open. So yeah, mom signals in the end are areas where we're detecting linear price action coming in with authority. So they're very good areas that can back you up getting into tactical or more precision level scalping. So if you just see, buy, sell, sell, buy, sell. Do you see anywhere where you're just getting destroyed? No. Now there's days where it's choppy, and that's where being smart comes into play. Where are levels? Do I have an M pattern to be a seller? Do I have an M pattern to be a buyer? After there's been extended moves, if I'm not near any levels. Is there higher pivot lows and uptrends that I can jump into? Is there lower pivot highs into downtrends I can jump into and take a shot? So the good thing is the mom signal will then give you confidence after you see the pattern or the levels test that you're getting evidence, and we're doing a really good job at detecting where linear higher momentum price action is leaving an area where there's indifference or lower momentum price action. So they're basically bursts of momentum that have been qualified that you can jump into. And this weekend, I'm putting out an updated version of our mom signal automated system and some really important notes from the programmer that we feel will enhance its capabilities even a bit more. And then I'm going to really push Quant Tower hard Monday to say, please we gave you the code, please give us that price candlestick. It's not going to hurt you in any way. That will take our momentum automated trades to as high of a precision level as we can by having quality tick by tick data that we can pull off the candlestick tick by tick that can be utilized for our automated MOM strategy on the Quantower platform. Okay, this went very long, but I covered important stuff, and I just want to wrap up right here. So if you have any questions on the program or access ALGO IQ program, info@gridalgo.com, but the gridalgo.com website, and down, I talk about the various systems, use platforms, but all the access buttons to get started with the program on the various platforms offered are down there. So there you have it. If you have any questions, just let us know at info@gridalgo.com, and I'll definitely have a lot more system videos this weekend. And I do have some videos of getting signals in live mode and how you work trades around those signals from a bracket standpoint. Where's your stop? Where's your target? How do you run the trend continuation? Um, uh, like I guess you call it the trailing stop side of things. So I'll post those videos up this weekend. That should really get you dialed in on how we use these tools and really easy ways to get in and work bracket trades around these entries, whether you're on Quantower, NinjaTrader 8, or the TickBlaze platform, and work your trades in like a semi-automated mode. Okay, there you have it. Have a great day. Have a great weekend, and watch for more videos this weekend.